Hey folks, my guest today is Drew D'Agostino. He's the founder and CEO of Crystal, specifically crystalknows.com since 2015. Backed by Salesforce, HubSpot, and other investors, he is Forbes 30 under 30 in enterprise tech. He's author of Predicting Personality, how to use AI to understand people and win more business. He's a classically trained pianist, pilot, and distance runner. Drew, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, let's
All
go.
right. So what is Crystal Knows for folks that are not familiar?
Crystal is an adaptive selling platform. So we use personality data and other behavioral insights to help people connect better with their customers and communicate more effectively. Um, so we've been around about 7 years now.
And are you selling to, an e-commerce brand trying to identify consumers or like a B2B brand that's looking to identify new business customers?
We've got customers all over the place, but primarily B2B. And if it is consumer, it's consumer, like very high ticket consumer items, really high touch sales processes, which are like very relational. So
Mhm.
not so much transactional or e-commerce or anything like that.
So should we think of this like, it's not cookie oriented data, or maybe it is. It's more like first party data, more like a Bombora sort of style tool.
Yeah, in that lens, it's adjacent. It's not competing with tools like that. So Crystal is dealing with behavioral data and specifically like predicted behavioral data.
Give me an
So there's a
example.
lot of there's a lot of information out there about people. So if you're looking at a LinkedIn profile, or there's lots of enrichment services where you can get someone's job titles, interests, skills, anything to that you could use to personalize communication. So there's a lot of that data out there, and it makes personalization on one hand possible, but on the other hand really hard because it's impossible to do all that research and actually um, put that into action in an efficient way if you're a sales rep or if you're communicating with customers. So what Crystal does is uses predictive models to take all of that information and then and summarize the best approach for that person, and then how you can do things like negotiate with them, discuss pricing, really follow them throughout the sales process. So what we have is machine learning models that say, okay, based on all that we know about them, like the facts, here's how you should present your message and your process. And that could be based on we use a model called DISC. So we've historically been this personality, like kind of a personality app. And ever since we've gone up market, we've kind of adapted that whole model to just make the sales process a lot more efficient and personalized.
So Drew, up market. When I hear that, I hear higher
Mm.
ARPUs, higher ACVs. What's the average customer paying you these days?
So our business is still divided between this self-service customers, who's historically for the first 6 years of Crystal was our main customers, and our B2B customers. So for them, we have annual enterprise contracts. So the whole focus really right now is on the B2B side. So I'll just focus on those numbers. That is around 8,000 annual contract value versus the self-service, which is historically for us been mostly monthly contracts, but if it's annualized, it's $500 or $600.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
And what's the breakdown between both of those? Like, I guess you were founded in 2014, so you were doing the self-service all the way up through 2020. Is that right?
We actually just got out of self-service last month.
Oh,
So
wow.
we yeah. So but over, I would say, since we started really focusing on B2B in mid 2020, and that business just started kicking in the beginning of 2021. So since like really the beginning of 2021, it's gone from almost 0% B2B to about 60 to 65%. So it overtook the majority of our revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and probably more importantly than the ACV, the retention is a lot better on the B2B side. I kind of anticipated that, but I didn't anticipate the degree to which it would be better. So
Yep.
we realized that our business is actually much better suited to be an enterprise SaaS company as opposed to like a self-service product, totally product driven one. So we decided to just, it's still technically an experiment because we don't know if self-service is totally in our past, but we want to see what this business, how it performs with a just total B2B
So
model.
how many customers today pay for your B2B tool?
Uh, I would say 350.
Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time, you can see what it changed over the past 88 days, and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right, so the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here, and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. Did you recruit those 350 out of individual users who used to be your self-serve, or do you have to go recruit those 350 brand new over the past 12 to 18 months?
It's in a mix. So the breakdown is, actually, I don't really know the direct breakdown other than just guessing it, but there's definitely a contingent of those who were using our product for a long time as individual users. And then we didn't just change the pricing model. We also added a lot of robust features to the product that made it better for enterprise. So a lot of them have come in through self-service mechanisms. Some examples of those are like big professional services organizations, like Accenture is one of our big customers. They've used Crystal as individuals for a very long time. And ever since then, we've kind of slowly been piecing together team deals and going with more of a B2B motion. So it's kind of an example of that. Yeah.
It's a good thing for anyone to do that does like the self-serve folks is go look at all your thousands of self-serve users paying $29 a month, look at the domain name of signups, sort, alphabetize them, and then highlight conditional formatting in Excel where there's duplicates. And when you see Accenture, and there's like 7 people on a team at Accenture using you, there's clearly an enterprise motion there. Is that sort of what you did?
Yeah. So there's a difference between self-service customers and Crystal's free user base. We've got a massive free user base. It's about 30 to 40,000 people, depending on the month, who sign up monthly for our product. And they go through the motion of filling out personality assessments, downloading trials of our tools. Like there's a lot of things you can do in Crystal for free. That's still the main funnel for our enterprise business. But there is a segment of those who have signed up for different types of paid subscriptions we've had over the years. And I mean, if you were to add them all up, there's probably been something like 18 to 20,000 of those paid customers for some Crystal product. Some of those have been recurring. We've also had non-recurring products in the past. So of those, that's kind of like the low-hanging fruit for us. So we can either look at the current customers, also revisit the ones who have had a individual subscription in the past and start rolling out in like a marketing qualified lead flow. To find out opportunities. So we're kind of going at it. The good thing we have is 7 years of experience and 7 years of a giant funnel into Crystal. What we're not so good at is really efficiently identifying those opportunities. So that's one of our big priorities this year.
And Drew, so how many folks are still paying today for that self-service tool? $600 a year sort of deal.
It's I'd have to get the updated count, but it's definitely more than 3,000. So it's more than
Wow.
10x it's more than 10x the enterprise customer base in terms of just number of users. Yeah.
So that's still, I mean, 3,000 times 600. What is that? That's like $2 million of ARR right there, right?
It's still a big chunk.
Yeah. So how do you, I mean, you mentioned like you shut it off and now B2B is 65%. Like what does shut off mean? Do you stop servicing them, let them turn off? Like what does that mean?
No, so everyone that had a self-service account still has access to all their tools, and most of those users are pretty active at this point because um, they've had the opportunity to just like, you settle out with that churn curve. So our approach with that has been let them keep their access to the tool, but at the same time build onto the enterprise offerings that we have. And there's a lot you can do in Crystal now that you just as a company that you can't really do as a customer or as an individual user. So we've been trying to go in from a value perspective, like, all right, let's make this enterprise product more appealing to these customers who have these like self-service accounts. But as far as new customers go, you can right now, if you go to Crystal's pricing page as a free user, you can't sign up for the self-service account. So for that, we've used the approach. We've actually just like kind of taken the approach to a lot of these other sales enablement businesses like Gong, where it's just this big pricing request form, and you can kind of go through that and just basically just talk to our sales team in a pretty fast, still pretty high velocity like
understood.
demo flow. Yeah.
And so when you look at the total revenue mix today, I mean, look, if you have 65% of your revenue is B2B and your current like B2C or your lower ARPU model is, 1.82 million in revenue, that means you got another 2 million on the B2B side. So are you guys sort of around like a 4 million run rate today, something like that?
Yeah. We're around like 4.2-ish.
Okay. And if you're there today, where were you about a year ago?
A year ago, let me look it up real quick. I'm going to say 3.
3-ish.
Somewhere around 3, yeah.
I'm curious, when you say look up, what tool do you use to track this stuff?
Well, if I am looking in Barometrics right now. I do not really want to look at I do not want to look at Barometrics.
Why is
I would
that?
like these. I've just had some issues with the tool. So all of these tools have always like I use Barometrics, Profitwell, technically FounderPath for a couple of the things. I look at all these and I look at my spreadsheet. And all of them have just like little quirks about them that make me need to use another tool.
Yeah.
So I could tell you right now, I use for my investor updates and my screenshots with the graphs, I use Barometrics. For analyzing churn rates and like segmenting my customers and all that, I use Profitwell. For looking up, mostly on FounderPath, it's kind of like looking up the amount of funding that I could get, seeing what the business health. I really like the business health scores of it. So seeing where I am benchmarked relative to other companies is very helpful. So I always like toggle between these things.
That's so funny.
My financials, I have my spreadsheet. Yeah.
You can tell, I mean, we are actively trying to figure out, can we just create all this in one thing and give it away for free? But it's like everyone wants like a different little quirk. And many times you just end up in the spreadsheet anyway.
Yeah. I would say, I definitely want to replace most of that with one tool. As far as financial source of truth goes, there's only so much you can get around the spreadsheet, but
yeah.
Well, but definitely presentation wise,
3 to 4.2 million. I mean, that's good growth. Now you did raise though a bunch. I mean, back in, I think 2015, 2018, right? Have you raised since then?
We've not raised since January of 2018. That was the last round that Salesforce put in.
Yeah. That's been a while. I mean, have you given any thought to like buying them back out?
You know what? I haven't really. It's more of like, so there's not a great reason to buying them back out at this point, I don't think, because Salesforce is a really helpful partner for us. So and they're just great to work with. It's been a good partnership. Like I really like having them on the cap table. Salesforce is also one of our larger customers too. Yeah. So it's kind of great to have those multiple levels of connection. So I would say if they were just a random VC, then I'd be looking at that. But because it's strategic and good Salesforce, I like having them on the cap table. There's no
any plans to raise in the near future, or you're good to go. You're profitable. You're going to say sort of bootstrap mentality moving forward.
I wouldn't say bootstrap mentality. So this year we are adopting. So we've spent about 18 months kind of solidifying what this enterprise I call it enterprise, what this B2B model looks like. Enterprise means a different thing. So after that first 18-month sprint of it, I'm actually now way more convinced that Crystal has far more legs, and this thing could have a very viable path to like maybe not a 10x, but like a 5x from where the revenue we are right now. That might take more money. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of cash because we've been profitable for about 3 years. So
Love
we're not,
that.
yeah, so we're not like looking to raise, but I am investing now. So we got a burn rate again. We are growing on the product side, especially doubling down on some of our.
What's the team size, Drew, today?
There are 30.
And how many
A couple
engineers?
more. Engineers plus data science is 9. We'll be 10
There
soon.
you go.
Yeah.
That's how I measure as someone really doubling down on product and R&D. Okay, there's 9. They're doubling down. This is great.
Yeah.
By the way, you're like the exact. I mean, if at your run rate, I mean, Founder Path could get you pretty. I mean, almost overnight about $2 million of capital. I mean, you're the exact kind of founder we like to sort of work with. So I'll follow up with you afterwards on that. I'd love to.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very, very cool story here. We're also excited to have you speaking at Founder 500 on September 1st in Austin, Texas. Why don't you tease a little bit what you're speaking about? What should people expect to see in your slide deck?
Yeah, I've always thought that you shouldn't go speak at an event unless you have something to say. So I wanted to actually, I'm glad we actually had an interesting insight from the last couple of years. I think the most helpful thing for me was getting out of my security blanket, which was our self-service business, and leaning on a sales team and letting my sales and customer success teams do what they do well. And ultimately figuring out that we could increase our LTV from around roughly 500 to 2,000 total. And that's across the whole customer base. That's because the LTV between our two businesses are vastly different.
Yeah.
So that was the main insight. So being able to, in 18 months or so, or maybe a little more than that, it might span a 2-year technically span, but going total LTV from like 500 to 2,000 has been a really big insight for us. And that's just going to keep improving. I'm trying to accelerate that by just making sure most of our new customers are all coming in this like 8,000 and upside. And we're kind of continuing to just let the self-service business sit in its current form. So
guys, don't miss Drew's his presentation. It'll be on Friday, September 2nd on the main stage at 2 p.m. And the title is Life After Freemium: How They Killed Their Free Business Model, killed their first business model, and built a new one from scratch and increased LTV by 400%. It'll be a good one. Drew, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite business book.
How to Win Friends and Influence People, probably still. Yeah.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
CEO I'm following or studying. I think, I mean, I read Jeff Bezos's investor letters, probably trite at this point, but I read his investor letters pretty frequently. So I'd have to say him.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building Crystal?
It's Google Apps.
Yeah, me too. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Try to get 8.
Okay. And situation, married, single, kids?
Single. No kids.
Okay. No kids. And how old are you?
32.
32. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
I wish I knew that I was actually capable of being technical and also learning classical music. I used to think of myself as a total creative, and I just was not capable of learning technical skills. And I learned that I am. So,
guys, there you have it. Crystal knows they're helping. They used to help sort of self-service customers, now doing more B2B work with companies like Salesforce, helping them build profiles of their potential customers so that Salesforce knows how to go sell to those customers ahead of time. Really interesting business model. I have 300 enterprises using them today, but 3,300 total customers altogether, just past a $4.2 million run rate, up from $3 million just a year ago. That's all while being profitable over the past 3 years, despite raising about $6.9 million of VC back in 2015 and 2018. But again, profitable today, growing nicely, team of 30. Drew, thanks for taking us to the top.
All right. Thanks, Nathan.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.